You are Locked On Giants Postcast, part of Locked On Sports San Francisco on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Giants Postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR. And today, the San Francisco Giants out-homered the Chicago Cubs on Chicago's north side at Wrigley Field as they win 7-6. Three different Giants went yard today, but it was Thairo Estrada who had the most important blast of them all as he launched a 3-run jack in the ninth inning to give the Giants a 1-run lead in a come from behind win. Jordan Hicks looked great, and Camilo Doval showed us all that he's just fine out there on the bump. We'll break it all down, but first, I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports San Francisco YouTube channel. Please, please, please hit that subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed. Thanks also for listening on the Locked On Giants podcast feed. However you're getting the show, we appreciate it. And make sure to check out the Locked On Giants Daily Show for more in-depth coverage. Ben Kaspick does a great job. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Jordan Hicks got the start in this one in a very hot and muggy day, and he pitched pretty good, man. 5 scoreless from Hicks. But the story today was the offense. We kind of forgot that Hicks had tossed 5 scoreless innings, 5 shutout innings because of the final stat line, 7-6. Both teams hitting a bunch of home runs, a combined 5 home runs between the two squads in this game, and it all was in the back half of this one for the most part. Let's run through it. In the bottom of the first, Jordan Hicks was on the bump, and if you listen to the KMBR pregame today, you heard Bob Melvin telling John Miller how it might be a tough day for Jordan Hicks because he's type 1 diabetic, and it's a hot and muggy day out there in Chicago. Managing the insulin might have been an issue today, just with all the sweat coming out of his body. So that was a thing to pay attention to. Also, in today's start, Jordan Hicks has officially now thrown more pitches in this season than he has in any other prior season. And as we said, it's a hot, muggy day in Chicago. And if on those days, I don't know if you guys been out to Chicago's north side, but man, oh man, when it gets hot and muggy out there, it is thick and it is hard to breathe, and you just sweaty, just sticky and sweaty. And that's what Hicks was battling today. And 5 scoreless, despite those conditions, is pretty good, man. And as I said, he's now thrown officially more pitches this season than he has in any other season in his career. He the next most pitches that he threw in one season, he threw just under 1,300 pitches in his rookie year in 2018 when he was 21. He's now up over 1,300 pitches this season with the Giants, and he's looking pretty good. So you heard Bob Melvin say in that pregame he wanted at least 5 innings. He expected about 5 innings from Hicks, and that's what he got, despite this strike zone today being hot garbage. I see some people in the chat. Nicholas, my guy, that ump, oh my God, that guy was so bad today. And we can forgive a wide strike zone or a guy who's calling low strikes or something like that, as long as he's consistent. But today, oh my God, Hicks looked so frustrated on the mound. In his last few starts, we've kind of seen some of this happening in some other Jordan Hicks' starts. Hopefully in his next one, he gets just a consistent strike zone. I think, like I said, I think guys are pretty comfortable with a guy who's calling low strikes a little bit out of the zone or calling them a little wide or something, as long as it's consistent. But today, that was not the case. Jordan Hicks was not really filling up the strike zone. He threw, where did I put my notes? He threw 87 pitches, 48 of them 4 strikes, and he walked 4 guys today and struck out 4. So a high number of walks for Hicks. He gave up 4 hits as well, but he did a great job. 8 base runners over 5 innings. Not a single one touched the plate. He was doing a really good job, and he got some great outfield assists today. Right away in the top of the first, Tauchman, forever Giant, Mike Tauchman. Remember when he robbed Albert Pujols' home run as a Dodger? And that was a great moment, man. What the walk-off home run robbery. Man, Mike Tauchman, dude, I forever Giant, man. I liked him on the Giants, but tries to tag up here He's having a decent season out there in Chicago. Tries to tag up from first base on a fly ball to Conforto, but Conforto hoses him at second base for the double play. Gets out of that first inning with no damage done. In the top of the fourth, Jorge Soler, who's been a lot better with his plate discipline lately, draws a 2-out walk, and Mike Yastrzemski comes up with a triple to plate Soler. Giants take a 1-0 lead. Then in the bottom of the fourth, 2 singles and a walk, all with 2 outs, load the bases for Chicago. And that terrible strike zone was on display in that inning. Hicks looked visibly frustrated out there, but he got out of the jam. He works his way out of it. No runs score for the Cubs in that inning. Then again, in the bottom of the fifth, Hicks gets more help from his outfield. Mike Yastrzemski, after the Giants get into a little bit of a tricky situation, Pat Wisdom tries to tag up on a fly ball to right field and tries to score on the play. Tags up from third, and Mike Yastrzemski hoses him at the plate. It was a bang play. Great job by Pat Bailey to field the ball outside of the base path, wasn't blocking the plate when he picked it up, and then to slide back over in front of the plate, make the tag, and get the out on Patrick Wisdom. Just a laser beam of a throw from Mike Yastrzemski. Perfect one hop right into the chest of Pat Bailey, who was down on one knee in front of home plate. And man, oh man, that was a great play. In the top of the sixth, Assad, who was pitching for the Cubs today, who's been a really, really nice breakout player for the Cubs this season. He came. The Giants, to their credit, they worked him hard. They made him throw a ton of pitches, and even though he was getting some of those borderline strike calls, the Giants made him continue to work, and eventually the Giants did draw some walks on him, got him to exit the game early, and that's when the Giants really started to do some damage. Same with the Cubs. Both pitchers leave after 5 innings pitched. In the 6th inning, after Hicks comes out, Rodriguez comes in, and his last outing was his worst of his big league career. Against the Angels on the 14th, a couple days ago, he pitched 2 2/3, gave up 4 earned runs and a bomb in that game, which 3 innings pitched roughly and 4 earned is not the worst stat line I've ever heard of from a Giants pitcher, especially not this season. Shout out Blake Snell, but Randy Rodriguez was roughed up in his last time out. Today, he got roughed up again. Gives up a single to Nico Horner and then a 2-run jack to Michael Busch, former Dodger Michael Busch. 2-run Cub, 2-1 Cubs lead. Hicks then not in line for the win anymore. But then in the top of the 7th, man, the Giants got it right back as Elliot freaking Ramos, dude, is on fire, as hot as the sun. This guy is, everything that the Giants have ever hoped for in a homegrown outfielder. I am so excited about this kid, and all of us should be. At this point, I'm going to make the declaration right now. I've been slowly dipping the toe in, but to Elliot Ramos, all-star. He needs to be. There's one guy in the month of June who has a better OPS in all of baseball than him. Coming into tonight, there were 2 after that jack over the right field wall. There's only one. The 2 coming into tonight were Judge and Soto. I think Judge is the one who's still ahead of him. Not entirely sure on that, but I know coming into tonight, he only trailed Aaron Judge and Juan Soto in OPS in all of Major League Baseball in the month of June. So my God, this guy, he belts a blast over the right field wall, a frozen rope, 93-mile-an-hour fastball right down the middle, and he was looking to go the other way, clearly. He just smashed that thing, and that was one of the knocks on him last season, was that he wasn't able to go the other way enough. Look at that, man. Dude's hitting, it's his 7th home run in the month of June. This guy is just on fire. This is no longer should we say that we're waiting for him to come back down to earth. This is just who Elliot Ramos is. This guy, look at the life that he's given to the Giants. He's juiced as he's running around those bases, yelling and pointing at teammates in celebration as he's running around, just flexing on the Chicago Cubs. Super focused in the box. He got that gum chewing, just flapping the jaws, chewing that gum, and just laser focused on that pitch. 105.7 miles an hour off the bat, 383 feet. Man, this guy is every single thing that the Giants could ever want in a homegrown outfielder. This guy's coming into June, just to throw out some stats for you guys, coming into today's game in the month of June, 22 hits, 8 runs, 6 home runs, 17 RBIs, 8 walks, 1 hit by pitch, 43 total bases, 9 extra base hits. It is June 17th. Like they've played, I think, like 15 games now, I think, in the month of June. He's got 43 total bases. That's incredible. This kid is on freaking fire, man. Like, this guy needs to be an all-star. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. He is the best player on the Giants, hands down. And this guy wasn't even on the team at the start of the season. With the bomb, the Giants tie it up at 2-2. They actually take the lead in that inning after Pat Bailey walks. A fielder's choice gets him over to second. Conforto and Soler both draw walks. Bases loaded, 1 out, and Thairo gets hit by a pitch to score the run. The Cubs pitcher started arguing that Thairo leaned into it, and that's clearly someone who doesn't know Thairo Estrada's history of having broken hands and wrists from balls hitting him. And I don't think he's ever trying to get intentionally hit on the arm, which is where that ball kind of ended up hitting him, more down towards the elbow, it looked like. But I don't think Tyro's trying to put his forearm, his wrist, any part of his arm in front of a fastball. I don't think he's looking to do that. Nonetheless, the run scores after Thairo is hit by the pitch. Giants take a 3-2 lead. And they had the bases loaded and a chance to do more damage, and Trenton Brooks just didn't get it done. Strikes out with a full count. His at-bats are looking real weak, man. I would really like to see the Giants do something else at first base. I've been checking over here in the chat. I see a lot of you mentioning Blake Sable. At this point, I mean, sure, why not? He's at least got a bat. Brooks doesn't really bring a bat or apparently a glove to the yard, because in the bottom of the 7th, an infield pop-up falls between Thairo Estrada and Trenton Brooks. Man, that looked embarrassing, bad. That's like a little league play that you should make. Comes back to bite the Giants because they end up after a Bellinger walk with 2 outs, Suzuki doubles to score Pat Wisdom, who hit that weak pop-up, ties the game up at 3-3. I mean, Bellinger and Suzuki shouldn't have even batted in that inning. Then, after the inning continues, Ian Happ blasts a 3-run home run. And I thought that was going to be it for the Giants. Cubs took a three-run lead there with that home run, 6-3 Cubs lead. But on the other side, the Giants weren't done. They just kept hitting jacks. Pat Bailey smashes one off the scoreboard, 433 feet, 107.2 off the bat, his 5th of the season, 6-4 Cubs lead at that point. Then in the top of the 9th, that's when all the fun happened for the Giants. A catcher's interference of all things, man. Jorge Soler, I guess when things are starting to go right, things start to go right, man. Just as the inverse was true for the majority of Jorge Soler's season. When things going wrong, they're going wrong. But today, catcher interference allows Soler to get on base. Yaz walks, and then Thairo Estrada steps into the box and smashes a 3-run bomb of his own to give the Giants a 1-run lead in the top of the 9th, 7-6. How about that for some drama? Then in the bottom of the 9th, one day after, Camilo Doval looked just terrible on the mound, one of his worst outings of his career. He comes out and makes it look real easy, painting the black with multiple sliders, got that fastball velo and location working. 7-6 win for the Giants. Camilo Doval, let's all do it together. Grab your Camilo Doval saves counter bobblehead. Let's move this guy to 82 career saves for Camilo Doval with the save on the day. And a win for the Giants. And with the win the Giants are now, we're going to say it again, 1 game under 500. The never-ending climb to 500 continues, and this is a good win over a team that they're probably going to be battling for a wild card spot towards the end of the season. The Cubs 34-39 on the season with the loss. A lot more to get into from this game. We got to take a quick break, but I mean, we got to break down Thairo's heroics. We got to break down why Doval is just fine, as a lot of people were very concerned after one outing that didn't go so well. And Camilo Doval, all-star last year, one of the best closers in baseball, showed you why tonight. We'll get into that a little bit more. Ramos, though, that's what we got to talk about next. This guy needs to be an all-star. We'll get into that and more on the other side of the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. Stick with us here, and we will be right back. Summertime means baseball, the NBA Finals, and more. And now you can bet it all on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can use to bet on everything from Finals MVP to who's going to hit one out of the park. And with 7 home runs in this month, just put the prop on Ramos every single day from this point forward until this month is over for him to hit a home run. If we're just playing player props, that's where my money's going. Visit fanduel.com/lockedon and add a big win to your summer bucket list. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And today's episode is also brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 5 million members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. You pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections for a chance to win 100 times your money. Baseball season is officially underway, and there's no better way to cash in on the action than Prize Picks. Add your favorite players from the diamond to your Prize Picks lineups all season long, whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs. Take your pick of more or less and add them to your Prize Picks lineup today. You can now win up to 100 times your money with baseball-only lineups on Prize Picks. If you submit a winning lineup featuring 4 demon squares, you'll cash in big time on the biggest months of baseball's early season. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. It's Prize Picks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and today, man, the Giants pull out a fun one in Wrigley Field, 7-6 over the Chicago Cubs. And man, Elliot Ramos looks every bit the part of the first round draft pick that the Giants thought that they were going to be getting a couple years ago. And the first 2 times that we saw him, his first 2 stints with this big league club were a little underwhelming. He had a hard time striking out, still kind of has a little bit of a bugaboo with those strikeouts, but this guy has corrected basically every single issue that you could bring up of his. This guy's insane. Today, he goes 2 for 5 with the home run and RBI, and he did have 2 strikeouts. That OPS up to 981 over the season, 328 batting average on the year so far as well. But in June, this guy has been next level. I already told you there's only 1 or 2 guys who have a better OPS than him, and their names are Judge and Soto in all of baseball this month. That's pretty damn good. Looks like the Giants ended up getting their arson Judge after all. In June, coming into today's game, Ramos had 22 hits, 8 runs, 6 home runs, 17 RBIs, 8 walks, 1 hit by pitch, 43 total bases, 9 extra base hits. 463 on base percentage, 754 slugging, 386 batting average. This guy is just on an unreal tear right now. And he adds to that today. He's got 7 home runs now in the month of June. He's tied for the Giants team lead with 9 after Thairo Estrada hit his 9th as well later in this game. This guy's got to be an all-star, man. I said it in the earlier segment. I'll say it again now. This guy needs to be a National League all-star. And I think starter at this point, starting outfielder for the National League. There's really only like 1 guy that has, maybe 2 guys who have definitively had better seasons than him. Unfortunately, they're both wearing Padres uniforms. Fernando Tatis has had a pretty good year. You could argue that Ramos has had a better year though. But Jurickson Profar is just playing out of his mind down there in San Diego, which really bugs me because I really don't like that guy. He just seems like kind of there was a moment a few years, maybe it was last season, where I saw him chuck a ball like as hard as he could at the net. And obviously, separating the fans and the players, and obviously because he was upset about being heckled. And obviously you're not going to, do any damage by throwing the ball at the net, but just a bad look. I don't like that, man. It's a bad sportsmanship display right there. But Profar seeming to be the only National League outfielder who is really, played at an all-star level this year. A lot of National League outfielders have kind of dipped down. Teoscar Hernandez, who has had a really good year so far this year too. I was kind of ripping him the other day, saying I didn't think he impacted winning as much as some of the other Dodgers, and he's just gone on an absolute tear since then. So I mean, I guess I just look for any reason to dunk on the Dodgers. But man, Ramos is the Giants version of any one of these guys. Like if you've been waiting for a Giants outfielder to show some power, to show some production, if you've been waiting for a Giants outfielder that is a homegrown prospect to put it all together and be able to run, to field, to throw, to bat, I mean, with power, with average, this guy has done it all. And his defense is really good too. He's got, I mean, I think he's +7 outs above average in the outfield. So this guy is, I mean, he's just done it all for the Giants. There's no argument in my mind that you can make anymore for this guy to not make the All-Star team. He's had over 150 at bats now. He's doing the damn thing. Like I don't know what else he needs to show. He's had over over 150 plate appearances, under 150 actual recorded at bats due to all the walks he's drawn. But I mean, this guy is if you look at his baseball savant page, he's not qualified to rank in a lot of these categories, almost any of them. But if you just look at the chart, as we've talked about, as long as you see those big bars full of red on the baseball savant page, that's pretty dang good. And there's only 2 bars on here that are not red. So it's not using my big old math brain, which I don't have, as you guys know, but using my eyeballs and my very simple-minded pea brain, I can look at this and understand that Elliot Ramos does virtually everything really freaking good, man. This guy, get excited. Don't wait for him to fall back down to the norm, to regress to the mean. This isn't going to happen. This is who this guy is. Yes, the league will eventually adjust a little bit to who this guy is. The sophomore slump that always tends to happen for guys who have breakout rookie years. And I'm pretty sure Ramos does not have rookie eligibility anymore. I don't think he does. I think his service time exceeded that because he had the prior 2 call-ups. I'm not entirely sure on that one, but I've been trying to find that research, man. It's been kind of hard, but but Ramos, man, this guy is an outfielder of the future for this team. I mean, book him for the next couple of years. I mean, I would like to see him be the opening day starter in left field to continue that new opening day starter in left field streak. They're not the new, but the very long new opening day left fielder streak that's existed since Barry Bonds left. Maybe he's the guy to put an end to it. Finally, maybe he's a guy to put an end to it. But without Ramos, they don't win this game. That home run that he hit today just put all of the momentum back onto the Giants in that moment. Yes, the Cubs did steal it back a little later, and Thairo with his late game heroics really sealed it off for the Giants. But without Ramos and without what he brings to this club, the Giants, I don't think would have been in this game. I really don't think they would have. That home run reinvigorated this whole team, got the lineup going. Just look at the passion this guy plays with. He makes everybody else around him just juiced, ready to play baseball and excited to be there, man. And I'm excited for this guy to be in a Giants uniform for years to come. This just makes me happy. It makes me so happy to see the Giants finally figure out how to put together a homegrown outfielder. It's nice. One more interesting note from Ramos before we move on. That home run that he hit to right field was his first home run that he's hit to right field this year. He hit one to right center earlier this season, but all of them have either been left field or straight away dead center. And this is the first one that goes the other way. So that's great because this is a guy who's really struggled to hit the other way in his major league career. He's a stud, man. He's just a stud. More on the Locked On Giants postcast on the other side. Got to take a quick break here. Got more to get into. Jordan Hicks had a really good game on the mound today, despite everything he was battling. And Mike Yastrzemski did pretty good. And we got to talk about Camilo Doval, and he's just fine. Stay tuned on the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll be right back. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades, supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Did I mention that it's free? Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Sounds pretty good for a free membership, man. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free memberships at SupplyHouse.com/T-M and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at SupplyHouse.com. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. Today, the Giants 7-6 win over the Cubs. With the win, the Giants are now 36-37 on the season. And man, Camilo Doval really shut this one down. He looked great. Everyone freaked out over his last outing. Well, guess what? As we talked about on the last show, it's a lot different when you have a closer coming in with an 11-run lead, not feeling the juice, not feeling the moment, not feeling the vibe. Tranquilo Camilo is all about vibes. And if he's not feeling the vibe, he's a little subpar out there sometimes. But most of the time, when Doval comes out here in these gotta have it moments, he has it, man. And he's blown 2 saves all year long. 2. We're not talking about a guy who's every time out there blowing saves left and right. And do you guys remember how Brian Wilson used to save games? This guy would load the bases every single time and then strike out the side. And that's a little bit of what Doval's been doing this year. The Giants rode Brian Wilson all the way to a World Series. Doval, like, I've seen so many of Giants Twitter hot takes, trade Doval. I do not want to hear that, man. Not for a second. Camilo Doval, an all-star last year. If you're willing to give up on players like that after one bad outing, you don't know ball, man. You just don't. If it's a baseball season, it's 162 games. It's not knee-jerk reaction every time that a proven successful player, all-star level player, if he has one bad outing, oh well. I'm sorry, but we don't want to see that. It's not something that's just whatever. But we don't need to immediately ship the guy off to the White Sox or something, we come on, man. Camilo Doval has been so good for the Giants. One bad outing in a game the Giants still won, by the way, is not the end of this dude's career. It's not the end of him being a successful closer for the Giants. Yes, they do have a lot of high leverage arms in that bullpen that are looking really good this year. Ryan Walker obviously came in right after Doval closed the door. Rogers has been really good this year so far. Randy Rodriguez, last 2 outings have not been very great, but he's been pretty good in the increasingly high leverage situations that he's been in. I mean, a lot of these Giants relievers have been pretty solid this year, but I still trust Camilo Doval in the 9th. I really do. I trust him over any harm on this staff. There's nobody who has better stuff. There's nobody who's got a better fastball. Nobody who got a better slider. Maybe Ryan Walker's slider might be better than Camilo Doval's, but when you pair it with the other stuff that Camilo Doval has, he is just absolutely filthy. And you got to ride that guy. You have to. Until the wheels fall off, he is going to be the Giants closer. And I'm really tired of hearing what feels like bandwagon fans saying that they want to trade Doval after one bad outing. I'm just not about it, man. Just not about it. It's a baseball season. It's 162 games. It's not football. You don't have like 1 or 2 bad outings and then move on from a guy. It's 162 games. One more thing we got to get into today. I mean, there's a lot I want to talk about, but Jordan Hicks, he pitched really well today, man. And I thought that was pretty impressive due to, the whole diabetes thing. It's a real thing, man. I know a couple people close to me with type 1 diabetes, and it's a real thing. Like I was a couple of you guys know, if you are frequent flyers of the Locked On Giants postcast, I was just down in Hawaii for a bachelor party. And when we were there, we went on a hike. One of the homies on the trip had on the hike, didn't bring the insulin, and he started having a really bad time. And so things can get really, really bad, really fast if you aren't medicating yourself properly in those situations. In a day like today, that's hard to do when you're on the mound for those long stretches at a time, sweating as much as you are. And this guy, I mean, he kind of embraces that lifestyle though. He was diagnosed when he was 17 while he was in high school with type 1 diabetes, and actually calls himself this is a quote, direct quote, diabetic phenom. It was actually his Xbox gamer tag, his diabetic phenom back in the day. And he actually now sells merchandise labeled the same thing. And he wears cleats that say type 1 on them. So this guy is all about that life and just embraces the challenge, I guess, of doing these things in these type of situations. And he got it done. He got it done. I see the chat is just going nuts with Trenton Brooks. And I guess we're going to touch on this real quick in the last couple seconds of this postcast. But yes, I agree. Trenton Brooks, his time with the Giants has been pretty uninspiring. His bat is not great, but Lamont Wade Jr. should be getting close to coming back. And I mean, maybe you bring up Blake Sable in the meantime, but we should be seeing Lamont Wade making his return from injury soon. He was doing some rehab and was ramping up his running recently, but he's still got a little ways to work. But we're not getting Trent Brooks there forever. We don't need to just constantly blame Farhan for fill-in farm pieces when the Giants have like 13 injuries and like no healthy first baseman. Like, yeah, I would like to see Blake Sable instead. At least the guy brings a bat to the yard. But I mean, you got to have a guy who can pick him at first base. Trenton Brooks has been doing an okay job of that. The Giants won, man. Be happy. We don't need to freak out about Trenton Brooks not doing okay in this game. Like, this is a guy who's probably not even going to finish the season on this team. He's probably going to, I mean, at least you won't, this is probably the only stretch we're going to see him on the Giants big league squad this season. Whether he gets DFA'd or sent back down to AAA will be, remains to be seen. Is he a far cry from what Lamont Wade Jr. was doing earlier this season? Absolutely. Do we need to just burn Farhan at the stake because his injury replacement didn't play well when they didn't have a backup first baseman ready? No, I don't think we do. You can't carry a backup at every single position all through the season. It just doesn't happen. And the Giants have been overwhelmed by injuries. At a certain point, one of those guys isn't going to pop. But you know who did pop? Elliot Ramos. Yeah, I know that Farhan didn't draft him. You don't got to point that out. But he still came up in the Farhan system, the Farhan development era, and he's looking pretty good, man. He's looking pretty good. Let's all be happy for once, Giants Twitter, Giants social media, Giants fans. Like, well, let's not spoil this win. Like, there was so much negativity after the win yesterday, and like, dude, can we just enjoy the Spencer Bivens story for one day? Can we just enjoy this Giants come from behind 9th inning home run? Heard Dave Fleming say at the very end of the broadcast that this was like the first time since 2013 that the Giants had hit a home run to come back from down more than 2 runs in the 9th inning or later. Like, can we just be happy since that the Giants did this? Come on, man. Like, they won. And they'll be back out at Wrigley tomorrow. And I mean, I love watching games at Wrigley. I mean, one of baseball's greatest cathedrals. I had a very, very fun experience up there last year out there in Chicago. I'll tell you guys about that sometime during the series before this one wraps up in Chicago. But speaking of wrapping things up, we should probably wrap up this show as we are again overtime, as we are almost every day. Thanks for tuning in to the Locked On Giants postcast. Hopefully we see you tomorrow. Same start time tomorrow as we had today, 5:05 start. We'll be coming to you live afterwards on the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Peace.